The friendship between these guys seems to be above everything, even their own marriages, because everyone has already been involved with each other's wives, and things keep going as if nothing happened. That's why in today's video, I decided to talk about some of the biggest homewrecker moments that happened between them. But before we begin, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to always be notified when a new video is up. To start, let's talk about the lightest level of being a homewrecker. This happened in episode 3 of season 21, when Lois was celebrating her wedding anniversary party at her parents' house. She went to the bathroom, and when she was undressed, Joe entered without knocking and caught her there. Up until then, it was just a mistake. However, years later, Joe's friend spontaneously got aroused when he saw his friend's wife naked. The next day, Bonnie told Lois that Joe had been with her without any kind of stimulant. With that, Lois realized that her friend's husband was thinking about her, but she decided to keep it a secret. Sometime later, while cleaning dog poop off her shoes, Lois saw Joe through the window and started putting on a private show for him. This time, there was no excuse for it being an accident since Joe was enjoying the show, and after that, he invited Bonnie to have a quickie in the bedroom.
You busy?
Should I get the pump?
No need. Let's do this!
Lois Griffin, you are adding spice to that marriage. Wow, look at me, making a difference for those in need.
Lois then began to feel very attractive and decided to use this to revive her marriage. However, Peter didn't give her any attention, so the next day, she went again to her backyard to show off to her husband's friend, as he was giving her the attention she wanted. However, Quagmire saw the betrayal and decided to tell Peter, who, very angry, went to Joe's house and punched his homewrecker friend right in the face.
Damn it, I'll teach Joe to ogle my wife.
Oh, hey, Peter. What are you clenching in that fist there?
Well, that was sadder than what I was going for. Well, at least it's over. Oh, God, those are all final notice wheelchair bills. Not a good day for Joe. Not a good day for Joe.
If Joe was just spying, Lois, on the other hand, did something even worse with Bonnie. In episode 5 of season 6, a year after Lois was supposedly killed by Stewie, Peter decided to look for a new relationship. After some strange dates, he told Brian he had been on a date with Bonnie, where he felt guilty for being a homewrecker with Joe's wife. But Bonnie insisted everything was fine. However, Peter wasn't convinced. In episode 7 of season 15, when the Family Guy characters did a parody of The Great Gatsby, which also became a very good movie, while Joe was filling up the car, Peter took advantage of the moment and took Bonnie upstairs to the bedroom and slept with her, without Joe having any clue of what they were doing in the room, listening to loud music. Peter wasn't the only friend of Joe's that Bonnie got involved with. In episode 16 of season 14, Bonnie was sad because Joe was no longer the same, and Brian, seeing this, went to her room to console her, but they ended up sleeping together. Feeling very guilty, Brian couldn't sleep at night, so he told Peter everything, who promised to keep the secret, but as soon as he got the chance, told Joe. As a result, Brian and Bonnie decided to run away, but since they didn't have money to continue their journey, they stopped to work at a diner. However, Joe found them thanks to the tracker Brian had on his ear and called Bonnie to come back home, seeing that life with Brian was worse than with Joe. Bonnie accepted immediately, but before leaving, Joe shot the homewrecker dog. It's worth mentioning that Bonnie wasn't the only friend's wife that Brian was a homewrecker with, as in season 19, episode 14, when Stewie became enchanted by Death's wedding, he decided that he wanted to get married too. To do this, the boy ordered a Ukrainian bride, who arrived by mail, and he ended up marrying her. With this, Stewie got a job at a car wash and spent the whole day cleaning vomit off cars, because apparently no one else wanted the job. When the boy finally returned home, tired and covered in vomit, he discovered his wife was cheating on him with his best friend. Very angry for being cheated on, Stewie grabbed a baseball bat and went to destroy the homewrecker guy's car. Brian also didn't escape from being a homewrecker, as he, in episode 1 of season 7, when Brian was very sad for not finding the right woman, he coincidentally found the perfect woman for him at the library, since they shared the same beliefs and values. So they quickly started dating. Then Stewie gave Brian advice. telling him his relationships didn't work because he always slept with the women before getting to know them well. So, Brian decided to follow Stewie's advice and started dodging the woman every time she tried something. But when Brian finally felt ready to move to the next level of the relationship, he discovered that his girlfriend was in the car with another guy, and that guy turned out to be none other than his friend Cleveland. So, to win his girlfriend back, Brian and Stewie went to Loretta's house to convince her to get back with her ex-husband. Upon seeing Loretta again, Cleveland got very emotional and even proposed meeting with her to decide. However, Peter and Lois didn't accept her back, so they convinced Quagmire to go for Loretta again. But this time, she showed that she had really changed and decided to reject him, kicking him out of her room. However, even doing this, it wasn't enough to make Cleveland take her back. The next day, when Cleveland went to visit his new girlfriend, he discovered that the biggest homewrecker in the whole series was already with her inside his car. And speaking of Quagmire, of course, he couldn't be left out of our list since this guy has been a homewrecker to all of his friends. We'll start with the classic, which happened in episode 5 of season 4, when Peter bought a boat. He invited his friends to celebrate, but Quagmire took the opportunity to go fishing. He accidentally caught a fish and threw it into Loretta's cleavage. Instead of taking the fish out, she told Quagmire to put his hand in there. At that moment, Cleveland caught them in the act, but he didn't care and simply ignored them. Loretta then arranged to repeat this some other day, but this time in a more private place. Sometime later, when Peter was passing in front of Cleveland's house, he heard Loretta screaming, and when he ran to see what was happening, he found her with a white guy on the couch. Embarrassed, he and Brian quickly left, and Peter even started questioning why Cleveland's butt was so white. But later on, they found out that it was Quagmire's butt, and that he was the one with Loretta. Peter didn't waste any time and went to tell Cleveland, but instead of getting angry, Cleveland felt relieved, since he thought it was better for Loretta to be with Quagmire than with someone who might pass on a disease. But after Peter encouraged him, Cleveland went after Quagmire to beat him up. However, in the end, he realized it wasn't worth killing his friend over an unfaithful wife and ended up forgiving the homewrecker. In episode 16 of season 8, after reading in the newspaper that the world was going to end, Quagmire ran to Joe's house to beg his friend to let him sleep with Bonnie, with the excuse that he was still a virgin, since according to him, he only said he was with many women to look good. So, Joe innocently allowed Bonnie to be with Quagmire, but after they were done, Quagmire admitted that he had lied to Joe just to sleep with Bonnie. In episode 10 of season 8, right after Peter got into a fight with a host on a show and hit his head, he lost his memory. So, since he didn't remember that he was married to Lois, he started acting like a single guy, and Quagmire didn't waste any time trying to seduce Lois. He invited her to dinner at his place and used all his homewrecker skills to make her feel confident by the way he treated her. However, Quagmire ended up failing and couldn't go through with it. At that moment, Peter got his memory back and went after his wife. So, he barely escaped from being a homewrecker. And that was today's video. Comment if any homewrecker moments were missing, and don't forget to leave your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification bell. I'm signing off now. See you in the next video. Until then,